Imagine this. You walk into a room and lock eyes with someone across the way. 3 seconds pass. 5, 10. One of you breaks first. And in that instant, without a single word being spoken, a hierarchy just got established. Your brain registered it. Their brain registered it. The room registered it. Welcome to the stare test, the oldest dominance ritual humans never talk about, but everyone feels. This is not about attraction. This is not about flirting. This is about power. And the uncomfortable truth is that most people fail it without even knowing the game exists. Here is what actually happens when two people hold eye contact. Your amygdala, the ancient part of your brain that kept your ancestors alive on the savannah, lights up like a Christmas tree. It treats prolonged eye contact the same way it treats a predator locking onto you. Your heart rate spikes. Your pupils dilate. Your body floods with cortisol. This is not social anxiety. This is your nervous system screaming that you are being evaluated. And every millisecond you hold that gaze is a micro-negotiation of status. The person who looks away first just told the other person, without opening their mouth, that they are lower on the food chain. Not because society decided this, because evolution hardwired it into our hardware 200,000 years ago. But here is where it gets twisted. The stare test is not actually about confidence. It is about threat tolerance. The person who wins is not necessarily the most secure. They are the one whose nervous system can handle being perceived as a threat for the longest time. And that changes everything. Because what if you have been trained your entire life to be non-threatening? What if you grew up learning that taking up space was dangerous? What if your survival strategy was to be invisible, to not provoke, to shrink? Then the stare test becomes impossible, not because you lack power, but because your brain has been conditioned to treat visibility as a punishable offense. This is why quiet people, introverts, people who were told to sit down and shut up as kids, they lose the stare test constantly. Not because they are weak, but because their nervous system associates sustained attention with danger. Their body learned early that being seen too much, too long, too intensely, leads to punishment. So they look away, they break, they defer, and everyone around them reads it as submission. The cruelty is that this becomes a self-fulfilling loop. You break eye contact. People unconsciously register you as lower status. They interrupt you more. They dismiss your ideas faster. They take up your space without asking. And you wonder why you feel invisible even when you are standing right there. Now flip it. Think about the people who never break. The ones who can hold a stare until you feel like your skin is peeling off. What are they actually doing? They are signaling that your perception of them does not destabilize them. They are saying, without words, that your gaze is not a threat, that they can be seen fully and remain unmoved. And that, to your primal brain, reads as apex behavior. But here is the glitch. Holding eye contact too long without the right context does not make you powerful. It makes you a psychopath. There is a reason why predators stare and prey animals flee. If you lock eyes with someone for 30 seconds in a grocery store, you are not projecting dominance. You are projecting danger. The stare test only works in contexts where status is already being negotiated. A job interview, a first date, a boardroom, a confrontation. Outside those frames, prolonged staring is just unhinged. So the real skill is not whether you can hold eye contact. It is whether you know when to, and whether you can do it without your body betraying you. Because here is what most people miss. Your eyes are not the only part of the test. Your face, your posture, your breath. They all leak information. If you force yourself to hold eye contact while your jaw is clenched, your shoulders are up by your ears, and your breathing is shallow, you are not passing the test. You are just making yourself look like a scared animal pretending to be brave. And everyone can tell. The people who actually win the stare test are not trying. Their nervous system is calm. Their body is open. Their breath is steady. They are not holding eye contact as a strategy. They are simply not afraid of being seen. And that is the difference between dominance and presence. This is why meditation, breath work, all that stuff people mock as hippie nonsense, actually rewires the stare test. Because if you can train your body to stay calm under sustained attention, if you can teach your nervous system that being perceived is not the same as being attacked, then eye contact stops being a battle. It becomes a conversation. And that is when real power shows up. But here is the part nobody wants to hear. Some people were never taught that being seen is safe. They grew up in homes where visibility meant punishment, where speaking up meant getting shut down, where existing too loudly meant violence. For them, the stare test is not about confidence. It is about survival, and no amount of self-help advice about holding your gaze longer is going to override a nervous system that learned to equate attention with pain. So if you are someone who constantly breaks eye contact, who feels their chest tighten when someone holds your gaze too long, who looks away and hates yourself for it, this is not about willpower. This is about trauma. And the fix is not to force yourself to stare harder. The fix is to teach your body that you are allowed to take up space. That being seen does not mean being destroyed. That your presence is not an imposition. And here is the cynical truth. Most people will never do that work. They will keep losing the stare test. They will keep wondering why they feel powerless in rooms where they should have authority. They will keep blaming themselves for not being confident enough, when the real issue is that their body is doing exactly what it was trained to do: protect them, by making them invisible. But for the ones who do the work, who retrain their nervous system, who learn to hold their own gaze in the mirror without flinching, something shifts. Not because they become dominant, but because they stop being afraid of their own existence. And when you are not afraid of being seen, the stare test stops being a test. It becomes a statement. You are here, you are real, you are not going anywhere, and your presence does not require permission. That is what the stare test actually measures. Not dominance, not confidence, but whether you believe you have the right to exist in full view. And most people, if they are honest, do not. They have been conditioned to shrink, to defer, to look away, and every time they do, the world reads it as proof that they were right to demand less. So the next time someone holds your gaze a little too long, ask yourself this: are you breaking because you are being polite, or because you were taught that being seen is dangerous? Because one is a choice, the other is a cage, and the difference between the two is the entire game.